down every night.
What's going on, Boiler Nation? It's Tuesday night. It's March 25th, 2025. Brand new episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, streaming live on the Boiler Breakdown YouTube channel and Facebook page. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, that follow button, notification bell, all those good things. Follow button, like button on your favorite podcast platform, all that. Yeah, I'm out of win now. I'm Tanner Lee, co-host Aaron Lynch, Evan Webb in the house. Fellas, how we doing? I'm guessing pretty good.
Pretty sweet.
Have to agree.
Yeah,
Walked right into it.
yeah. Put it up on a tee for you. Yes, Purdue is in their sixth Sweet 16 out of their last 8 March Madness appearances. Pretty good.
Not too bad.
You know, the media's got to move the goalposts. It was at first, High Point's going to beat them. Then it's, McNeese is going to beat them. Now it's, they had a soft schedule.
Yeah.
And Maryland went through 2 double-digit seeds and had to hit a buzzer beater, and I'm hearing nothing on that front. So it's kind of funny. But, it feels good. I think, of course, we want more, but I think we can officially stamp this season as a success. Of course, you always want something to show for it as far as a trophy, whether that be a Big Ten regular season title, tournament title, or Final Four, national championship, etc. But, I know, Evan, you and I at the start of the season, we were saying, I think 6 seed or better to Sweet 16, and we got just that. So it's all gravy from here on out.
Yeah, and as a 4 seed, you always kind of hear people talk about, playing to your seed. And now that Purdue is a 4 seed, theoretically you're one of the top 16 teams, best 16 teams in the country, and they've proved that by getting through 2 tough opponents. Granted, they were mid majors, but still, like you said, we were the sexy upset pick, and won both games by double digits. So I'll take it.
Yeah, only trailed this entire past weekend for 3 minutes and 8 seconds out of 80 minutes. It was actually incredible. So this season definitely is a success. Start the preseason, AP ranked 14th. Still
Ranked
ended up in the top seat. Yep. Still end up right in that same kind of category. As I stated earlier last week, it's a year of growth. I think these guys coming into roles, especially now the supporting cast, definitely finding themselves this past weekend was probably the most exciting thing to see, and most encouraging thing as we move to this weekend and in going into the off season.
Yeah, the supporting cast stepping up was nice to see. The energy, especially on defense, was nice to see. It's kind of some flashes back from January, that nice little month-long stretch that Purdue had there. Yeah, like you said, Purdue leading near 77 minutes out of 80 is pretty darn impressive. And that's what you got to do against these double-digit seeded underdogs. You can't let them hang around, have hope, get the whole arena into it, because then you're just asking for disaster to happen. And really, across the March Madness as a whole, the NCAA tournament as a whole this year is pretty chalky. Don't know if it's an outlier. Don't know if it's a sign of things that come with the NIL and more so the transfer portal. Not sure. What's your guys' take on that overall so far? The tournament not having that really Cinderella story or too many upsets.
Yeah, I think, at first, because I know you put that in one of our group chats, and I kind of was like, it's, it's whatever. But then the more I thought about it, and, as the weekend went on, we didn't see any. I think the biggest disappointment from this weekend was just the fact that there wasn't, outside of Maryland, Colorado State, there wasn't any last second, down to the wire type games. The games would get close, but then one team would pull away in the final couple, which obviously is, that's also another close game, but there was no I feel like we didn't see as many haymakers back and forth in the final minute for one team to finally win. But I think there is something to the whole portal and NIL thing with, because you'd see, for years you'd see teams I'll just use Kentucky as an example, just because they were the one who kind of took advantage of the one and done era. And you have a team like Kentucky as a 2 seed, a 3 seed, and they're full of freshmen, they're super talented, and they go up against a 14, 15 seed that's played together for 4 years, and it's all a bunch of seniors. have been in the system for 4 years, and they're just a better team. They're just more fundamental, whatever it is, and caught them on a good night. And those were the upsets. And I just feel like you're going to see less and less of that potentially. I mean, every team's going to have an off night and off day, and you just hope if you're the better seed that you're not. It's not one of your days, or the the lower seed. I actually never understand. Is it lower seed? Is that the worst team? I never know how to word it. How do you guys typically when you guys hear it? I don't know if there's an actual definition, but
that's a good question. I get it confused too.
Yeah, I say the worst seed. They get hot or whatever. But I think we'll see. I mean, there was that graphic that went out today of like where all the Sweet 16 teams starting 5 and where they started out in college, and outside of Michigan State and Purdue, it was pretty tough to figure out every other team. Outside of, like Michigan, you could see the Yale for Danny Wolf. But outside of like those 3, it was like I had a tough time. I had to really think about it about which team was which. But just kind of just the nature of the beast we see today. I think hopefully, I think obviously lack of upsets helps, the second and Sweet 16 be better, which is always good. But that's the charm of the tournament, is seeing the Yales beat the Auburns last year, the FDUs and beat the Purdues, like things like that, like Kentucky, Oakland, Kentucky, St. Peter's over Kentucky in 2022, things like that, where it's, or like even going back to the Loyola Chicago, their run to the Sweet 16, like those things are awesome, and what makes the tournament what it is. But
run to the Final Four.
Oh, that's right in the Final Four. Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of the other year when they beat. Was it the same year they beat Illinois? Is that what their Final Four year was? The year before?
I think it was. Oh man,
I thought it was the year before they went to the Final Four, and then the next year they put them in the same bracket. And
it wouldn't have been the year before. The year before they didn't have a tournament, and the year before that we darn near made it.
That's right.
So
what was the year after that?
I'm gonna look it up. I am blanking now.
Yeah, because 2021, that was the year, because obviously we lost to North Texas, and that was the year that I think that was maybe that was the year that they made the Final Four. I can't remember.
2008, 2018. So it was before. So
the Final Four, and then 2021 they made, or 2021 they made the Sweet 16, because I remember they beat 1 seed Illinois in the second round.
Yep.
But stuff like that, like I mean, I hope we still see it. Hopefully not at Purdue's expense, but I think it's gonna be just tougher and tougher with. But it also, like, I think, like, you've also got, like we saw with McNeese, of a roster of guys who played, like they had guys who played for Kansas, like, and so those guys, you don't accidentally get a scholarship to play basketball at Kansas. Like, you have to be pretty dang good. Now, obviously, maybe things didn't go your way or whatever. I have no idea that guy's situation, but you could still see teams that have really good players because of where they came from and just wanted more playing time or whatever. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
I saw the numbers above. It's north of 1,200 basketball players now in the portal.
That's nuts.
There's going to have to be some regulation on this.
Yes, there is.
And the NCAA is not going to do anything about it.
No, they're not.
No.
I think it's going to have to come from the federal government, unfortunately, because these are most of them tax-paying state universities that are having this issue. I know us with football, but I don't know how that's going to happen, because the only person I can see that's going to unite this totally would be Nick Saban from an entirety standpoint, and not just football, but like basketball and everything else, and put parameters in play. I still think this might be a year of an outlier in regards to the data. And I know Tanner, on your other podcast, I think your co-host, right? We're definitely going to have to wait 5 years and kind of see where this kind of trends on that data point. If it starts getting chalky, and definitely with conference realignment, it might start really getting chalky. Yeah. And it's going to take probably a Missouri Valley kind of team conference. Yeah. Sun Belt, things like that.
Mountain West. Yeah.
Well, the Mountain West might become the new Pac-12. We don't know what that merger could look like.
That's true. Most their schools are going there. You're right.
And we don't know. I mean, Gonzaga and WCC and St. Mary's, they're going to probably start. They're going to be in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of wait and see. Unfortunately, the landscape of college athletics is completely changed since Nebraska made the move to the Big Ten.
That was the first domino. It was the first domino. Yep. Yeah, if I would have told you guys all this was going to happen back when we were in college, what would you have said?
You're crazy. I wouldn't like. I can't even fathom even just the transfers wasn't even a thing I thought about. Or we even it was if a guy transfers, whoa, okay, that's or you see it coming, like a Kendall Stevens from Purdue side, or guys like that who it just wasn't in the cards, or guys there was very obviously someone a couple guys in front of them. And the players getting paid that, I guess I'm not terribly surprised, just because that was always a discussion for years, ever since they stopped making the NCAA football game for the longest time until they brought it back finally. But yeah, just the way it is now is just it's. There's some entertainment factor to it, which I guess is it keeps college basketball, especially it's, from a basketball standpoint, it keeps it kind of in the forefront of, I guess, national attention. Depends on how much people actually pay attention to that kind of stuff. And I'm usually a couple years ago, I was paying attention to what Purdue was doing in the off season, but there was nothing really to worry about if they were taking a grad transfer or not, and that was about it. But now it's I'm just I like following everything else, but I follow where all the transfers are going, and it's just it's entertainment at the same time, but it's also just stupid. It's just really dumb. Just the things you hear, just there's just no guardrails. I heard Kevin Willard came out today and said that kids are asking for $2 to $3 million, which a couple years ago when this whole thing started, it was a couple guys. The guy got $1 million. It was oh my god, the guy got $1 million.
I remember Nigel Peck when it was what
$800K for 2 years, over 2 years.
Everybody was oh my god, and now
and that was the whole NIL thing, which we beat this dead horse enough, but it was just when NIL thing became a thing, I was okay, awesome. Guys will be able to have basketball camps in the off season and get paid for it, which is a dumb thing that they couldn't do in the first place. But that was okay, that makes sense. If they want to sell T-shirts or having jerseys, that makes sense. Me buying an each one more
billboard, whatever.
Being able to get an each one more jersey back when I was in high school, when he was in him not seeing a dime from it is ridiculous.
Yep.
But then you hear we're just now it's just all of a sudden free agency of guys are being guys are requesting $250,000 just to come visit your school. It's what are we doing?
That's just stupid.
I think to your point, Tanner, if you would have told Evan and I that this was happening when we were, let's say, sitting at Subway at off Northwestern and said this was going to happen, I've been no way that these kids are going to be free agency would be happening.
Yeah.
And the second thing would have came out of my mouth is, how is this place going to survive in regards to us? What are we going to pony up and pay, given what the state of the football program and basketball program was at that given time?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and Evan, you were talking about Etwan and, robbing those guys. And Purdue wasn't even selling jerseys at this time, which I thought was dumb, because they could have made a lot of money, even though it went to the student athletes, off Biggie and Carson and Rondell Moore. All three of those guys were electric, especially Carson and Rondell electric in a different sense than Biggie. But I always thought it was dumb that produced or Nike, maybe it was a Nike thing, stopped producing jerseys in that era because they made a lot of money, even though. And it wouldn't have been right that they wouldn't have been seeing any of that. The school would have still saw a lot of money from that. But I'm glad the athletes across the board get kicked back now off their name, image, and likeness. But the pay to play stuff and more so the portal is just what pisses me off. I get the argument, well, the coaches can leave whenever they want. I guess I'd like some guardrails to be put up to where kind of incorporate how it used to be. You can leave one time without any penalty, without sitting out. And after that, you got to at least be a grad transfer to leave. Or if your coach leaves or gets fired, then that opens up a window as well.
Yeah.
But something like that.
Yeah. I think there's it's tough because like you said, with the coaches being able to just, willy-nilly, up and leave, that makes it, is that fair for the students. I mean, but also at the same time, like, you know, those guys can leave if their coach does leave. So that does open stuff up. But yeah, it's just the fact that, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess obviously we're fortunate from a Purdue standpoint of that it hasn't happened yet, knock on wood. But it will. I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, we've seen it with the football team.
I was going to say we saw it with the football team.
Yeah. But it's just like you think, and it is like a like old man yelling at the clouds type thing. But it's like I can't fault guys for going to get money when, you know, especially if they like, unless you're a top, you know, unless you're a lottery pick, like nothing's guaranteed, you know, making pro. And so, like, you know, going to find an extra money, it's hard to fault somebody. But it just feels like it's obviously short-sighted. I feel like, 'cause, you think like just the connection. And again, like maybe just these guys don't care about that, which is fine. But like, you know, just down the road of like being able to, you know, you wonder like these guys who have played for 3-4 schools, like who do they go back to? like when they like, yeah. Like, do they just go back to the coach or what? Like the coach, I don't know, but it's like, you know, it's cool to see guys like Robbie and Etwan come back, and obviously everybody else who comes back, and it's like those guys put in the time, but it's tough. Like I see both sides, but it is frustrating just from a fan standpoint of just like, and also just the unknown of like God, I hope we can retain everybody. Like, because you never know.
Buddy of mine, Pluggo from the Between Two Beers podcast says, "Go Irish." Pluggo, you must be talking about their women's program. Yeah, damn no, no, for sure you're not talking about their men's. But go check his podcast out. Him and JPJ do a great job. But yeah, in the timing of the portal window is just stupid, in my opinion. The fact that
that's the football one. Yeah, the football one's tough because it's when the season ends, all that, so you have to like figure out, because like, I mean, at the end of the day, these are still technically student athletes as much as they
hard to believe and remember.
Hard to believe.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. Once the changes happen this summer in regards to the actual universities paying them, instead of them being students, are they now employees of the university? Because if they're employees, they can technically be fired and leave at any time also. So
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
But if they're employees, they got to sign contracts.
Correct.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like that.
I haven't heard anything about contracts being signed, so I don't know.
Well, they'd have to. If
they have a compliance director on here, I don't know enough.
If they would have contracts, that means there'd be a union bargaining over them. Okay. If they're an employee, they would just have to sign an agreement, and I'm guessing that agreement would probably be their scholarship. In whatever how binding that is, I'm not a lawyer. None of us are. But if there is then representation in regards to what Northwestern is trying to have in regards to USW representing them, whatever that would come in and look like as an athletes union, that's why I hope Nick Saban would happen is overall. They would have to bargain with every one of the universities and power conferences in regards to what those contracts for every sport is. And then there would also, with that, they can come and go as you please. And I think the academics then is kind of secondary really to this, because then we're probably not seeing guys academically ineligible anymore. I would highly doubt it, because their job is not to be a student. Their job is to be an athlete and generate revenue for the actual universities they play for. So this really just becomes another professional, semi-professional.
Yeah, it's just wild. And going back to the portal, it's like I totally forgot last year's basketball one opened up day after Selection Sunday, which is just asinine. Well, at least this year they did move it to Sweet 16, which makes more sense. But still, it's like, I saw a video today of Tom Izzo saying like, I'm not worrying, like it's going to cost me probably, but I owe it to these guys that have, that are playing this year, which I totally understand. It's like, man, I'm agreeing with Tom Izzo. I kind of hate myself for that, but it makes sense. Like it's tough. I mean, there's no reason with if they are again going back to student athletes, like the semester ends in May, like why not? The portal could easily open. I mean, maybe summer school, all that kind of stuff, but again, like at the very earliest Final Four weekend, like where there's just like nobody left essentially. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't wait until that following Tuesday. I mean, if you open it the Final Four weekend, why not just wait until Tuesday after the last game? Like,
yeah, once the national championship clock strikes zero, open it up.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Like I don't know any coach that's for it. I mean, I saw Calipari talking about the bad side about portal today, which was interesting. I'm like, wow, Calipari's actually bringing up some good points. And we've seen Steve Alford rip it apart. Like something's got to be done. I don't know what it is. Something or this sport it's gonna. I mean, yes, we're diehards. We're a little different, but the casual fans are gonna just drop out. They're,
Yeah.
You know, I'll pick it up in March, but I'm not gonna watch till then.
Yeah.
And I also saw last point here before we get back to talking about
Actual
Purdue.
basketball.
We went on a deep rabbit hole here. I saw the NCAA football the players that are going to be featured. Last year they got paid $500. Now it's either $1,200 or $1,500 per player.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you how well sales did for that game.
Yeah.
So good for them.
I don't know. It's I do wonder like what would it take for me to not care?
I've thought about
it's
that
a lot. It's a lot. Like, is it, again, Purdue just getting decimated by the portal? I don't know. Like, what, Aaron?
It would probably be that. It would probably be that,
Relegation.
or what Aaron said. Like, if it gets to the point where these guys and gals aren't even going to class, and not even students, then I don't. It's just
Would you either care though if it was relegation? I know I brought this up in the group chat. Like let's be honest, the football team could be relegated.
Yeah.
In a world.
I don't know. I don't think it would affect me.
But we're playing for a sub tier,
right?
Let's say championship.
Yeah.
But what if could you be successful enough to get bounced back up?
Oh, yeah.
It would have to be that way in regards to there would.
Yeah, I'd be. I mean, I guess at first, but I'd still watch.
Yeah, I guess for football, again, like winning a Big Ten was never something I even like really thought was even like in the cards for Purdue, because I just knew like it's Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Those are the three. For the longest time, like those are the three that was gonna. And obviously, we were in the West. It was a little different, but it was like Wisconsin, because Purdue's not gonna beat Wisconsin ever.
Besides 2012, we had a shot with all of them.
That's true.
Being eligible.
Yes. So that really wouldn't affect me. Now basketball, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love college basketball so much. Like I said, I watched almost every game this weekend. Was up to like 2-3 in the morning each night. So I was very tired on Monday. So I'm not sure. It'd be hard to shake that. But I don't know. It would take a lot, I think, but at the same time, like it may not. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I can say that now, but in 5 years, life changes and things can happen where obviously your attention's taken other directions. And it's right now I can easily sit down on a couch on a Tuesday night and watch a game, but that may not be the same in a couple of years. You never know. So I don't know. It's tough, but I hate to see it go this way just because, but also at the same time, it's like, either adapt or die. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the football program is going to adapt after today's press conference is going to adapt.
Lynch is fired up after today.
Yeah, he is.
just take that Boilermaker drill and let's put it in the parking lot. Let's get some toughness.
Man, Lynch would have been fired up today. I was out. My wife and I went to the Y before this podcast, and we were going to walk outside, but we went inside because my wife said it was too cold. Anyways, but I presume it was a bunch of offensive and defensive linemen from Homestead practicing on their own with pads and everything. I was like, oh God, Lynch be getting fired up watching this. Guys are getting better.
The biggest plug from hearing Barry talk today was the O-line is ahead of everyone's expectations from all the coaches and where they are. That means this team's going to probably be led up front, and Maccabees hopefully would have a big season.
God, I hope so. I heard something similar last offseason.
Yeah, we hear coach speak every spring. So,
but it's a whole new offensive line. That's kind of what I'm.
True. It is true.
And this guy's had a little, I would say, a few more trips around the sun than the last coach.
He's 100% whole staff.
And the staff.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take what he says at his word until he's proves me wrong.
I think this, and I know we got Purdue football talk way down the road from tonight, but I think this team, it might not have the best record, but I think they're going to be a lot more enjoyable to watch. I think they're going to be tougher, lay it all out in the field, and more disciplined. So
definitely more disciplined. There's not going to be an effort of not tackling in second halves or when we're down. But let's just make sure of it and take that drill out to the parking lot.
Oh boy. probably a good thing you're not a college football coach for many reasons.
Health and safety would not be a priority.
Yeah. You'd have many trips to the compliance office in
Yes.
the PR office.
Yes. Let's get back to basketball.
Yeah, let's get back to basketball. Like we said, Purdue beat High Point and McNeese State.
It's just McNeese, isn't it?
Yeah, it's McNeese.
But like on the apps, it still says McNeese State. So I don't know. And like if you Google it, it still says McNeese State.
Yeah.
But
Just
they're
saying
trying to rebrand to McNeese, which doesn't sound as good as McNeese State, in my opinion.
I said
Kinda
McNeese
like,
is in the state, so
There's another one. There's another school that same way that's trying to rebrand and drop state. I don't forget who it is. But God, I lost my train of thought. Oh, which game were you more nervous? Were you more nervous going to the High Point game
High
or more
Point,
nervous going to McNeese?
1,000%. 1,000%. I was working and man, I was so unproductive. Yeah, that game. I mean, I guess it was probably good. I was at my office because I couldn't really act the way I normally do during games. Because that would have been really bad. But man, I was like, it was bad. I was so nervous for that game. I think it's just because, again, first round, and again, just the whatever right or wrong reputation Purdue's had in the first round. It was just like, just get through this. Like, yeah, that's why I was more nervous. I was still nervous when the McNeese game came around. I was still pretty nervous, but it wasn't even close to what High Point was.
Neither game. I knew. I'm going.
You were confident the whole time. You were.
Yeah.
We got the receipts in the group text. Aaron was the one of us four. Like, we got this.
I thought, Evan, you were going to have a nervous breakdown the first
And I'm
game.
thinking the whole time.
Yeah.
I was thinking the whole time. Damn it, Lynch! Like, if you're the one who cost us this game somehow with bad juju,
and not that I wasn't confident. I believe Purdue could win. I believe Purdue would win the whole time. But again, it was just like this tournament's weird, and it's just like you just have one bad day, and it's like it's over. We've seen it. Yeah.
I mean,
there's too much
bullets fire. I think the first. Was it maybe it was McNeese, but the guy who hit the first three, he'd hit like 4 all year. And I was like, are you freaking serious? I think it was McNeese.
It was.
I was just like that kind of stuff was just like, that's what, especially for those smaller teams, like they have to catch fire from three and all that kind of stuff. But I never once thought Purdue was going to lose. It doesn't stop me from being a nervous wreck.
I honestly, you had players in this team that lost to FDU. You had the Seth Davis national media dogging them. There was no way they were going to lose that High Point game. No way. Especially that's why I talk about growth. That's growth when you have these players step in that leadership role, lead that team in TKR and Braden and Fletcher and say, this ain't happening.
Yep.
Did they get it down to 2 at one point? Did they get it down to 2 in the second half? With like 7 minutes to go? Yeah.
They did, and then
then we pulled away. Yeah.
Heidi played amazing.
Yeah.
That
Oh
game.
my God, yeah.
And came up the show, and Miles' shot's not broke. I don't know what it is. It's just got to be a confidence thing. I mean, he had some open threes. I thought that 10-point lead could have easily been 20.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was not in question at all. The only thing I did, I thought this was I don't know if you guys saw this, but in that game, Braden Smith joined Kenny Anderson as the only players in NCAA history to at least have 500 points, 275 assists, 150 rebounds, and 75 steals in a season.
Yeah. He's done a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
And I gotta agree with Mitch Melton here on Facebook.
Yeah.
The wild 3 and the no goaltending right off the bat.
Yeah.
That goaltend right in front of the ref. Clear as day hit off the glass.
And just the fact that we see it all the time where they'll call it no matter what because you can review it on the call, which is still wild that you can review it like 5 minutes later, but still it's like the fact that they just like if it's close, they usually are always calling it just so they have that option to go back and check it. But
I'm surprised they didn't check at the next TV timeout. That's what I was shocked about.
Well, they can't. If they don't call it, they can't review it. So that's
but you can review but you can review a shot if it's on the line.
Yep. I don't understand, but you can't review a goaltender.
The review rules are so dumb.
Yeah, you can't review it unless and people listening, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you cannot review it if it didn't get called. That's why you see a lot of officials call it
And then so
if it's
they can
even
correct
close,
what's
just so they
wrong.
can immediately check or check the next dead ball or whatever it is.
Just like in football, if it's a fumble or you think it might be, let it go, let the play out, and then you can go check. You don't blow it dead right away, and then it ends up being or something. But the thing I love is Purdue won both games relatively easily, and we haven't even got close to the best of Braden Smith. I mean, sure, he had 20 points against High Point, but he didn't shoot it well.
Nope.
And then last game,
turned it over 8 times.
Wow, yeah. So which that has me feeling good. Like for Thursday night that he's going to come out, or Friday night that he's going to come out firing. TKR has been a beast. Fletch had a tough game on Thursday, but turned around, had a good game Saturday. Heidi's been solid. Colvin's been solid.
Jakari rebounding the ball on Thursday.
Rebounding. CJ against McNeese.
Shout out to Will Berg against High Point. Like, he was huge that game.
Yeah.
A couple had 4 points. I mean, look at the stats right now. The bench. We talk about contributions from anybody outside of the big three. Cam had 11. Colvin had 4. Berg had 4. Harris had 3. So that's 22 points off the bench, which is something we haven't always gotten. We shot 30% from 3. It is not great, but we shot 3 of 6 in the second half, so that obviously helps. Again, I know Newbert always kind of talks about it's not always how many threes you hit, it's when you hit them. Like, you can hit a bunch of threes in the first half, and if you go cold in the second half, that can come back to bite you. But Purdue shot well in the second half. Out rebounded both games, which you should really.
We had more offensive rebounds than High Point did rebounds in the first half. In the first half,
yeah, we had 19 offensive rebounds. They had 24 total, but still.
I was saying at the first half. I corrected myself.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Purdue had 20 second chance points. They had 8. I mean, it was just, we had 38 points in the paint. They had 22. Like, it was just a game that you wanted to see from Purdue.
And how nice is it to get away from Big Ten officials?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though High Knees was officiating our game Saturday, I guess, but it wasn't a full Big Ten crew. I mean, the fact that Purdue got in the bonus and double bonus pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's pretty shocking.
And it took care of business at the free throw line for the most part.
Yeah.
That's good to see, especially TKR the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, 14 of 22 in High Point, so 63%, not great. They were both us and High Point shot the exact same percentage. We were 14 of 22. They were 7-11, so both of 63.6. But we shot 82%, 19 of 23 against McNeese, which was awesome.
Yeah. Heck, we shot 6 in a row at one point. Only hit 5 of them, but
they were 5 of 13, so that was a big part of their not being able to kind of get over the hump.
Yep. But I didn't care how Purdue had to do it. Getting the Sweet 16 was the goal when the tournament started for me. Now it's all gravy because he knew whether it was number 1 seed Houston or Gonzaga or Georgia, maybe not so much Georgia, but yeah, still they're a good team. You're going to have a challenge this round. And it is Houston, number 1 seed Houston, who's been number 1 seed for like every year for the last 6. Typical Sampson team. Say what you want about Sampson as a person and what he did back in 2006, 2007, but he's a heck of a basketball coach.
Honestly, it wasn't even that bad.
Not looking back at it. Then it was, but not anymore.
And it was more like, I think the reason he got fired too was because he lied to Indiana about what he was, because he said he wasn't going to do it again. He was doing it. So it wasn't even the fact that he did it. It was just the fact that he lied about doing it.
It's a repeat offender, like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Shout out to so it's going to take Purdue's best effort. I think the line right now is 8.5 point underdogs Friday night. Purdue will have the crowd. It's as of now a 10:09 tip. Let's be honest, it'll be closer to probably 10:30 once the Tennessee-Kentucky game gets over and one of those very classy, intelligent, friendly fan bases gets out of the stadium. But it's going to take Purdue's best effort. Steve here on YouTube said if Houston doubles Braden Hart off the high hedge, then Cox and Harris are going to have to come up big in the mid range. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Purdue has seen some really good defensive teams this year and some defenses that pressure the ball, but Houston's on another level. They're minimum boys. And they have a bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-olds out there that look like they're 35 or 40 years old. Roberts especially, which he terrifies me on offense. I just don't know how we're going to stop him. Houston can defend, and this year they can shoot the 3 ball at a high clip, which in years past they hadn't been able to.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a challenge. It's one of those that Purdue, out of 10 games, maybe they win 2 or 3 times. But that's why we play the game. And if Purdue can come out firing, shooting wise, like they did against McNeese, I'd feel good about it outside the gate, right out of the gates. But it's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, what worries me is just what we've seen from some of these better defending teams that we've played against is when they make Braden work, that's when Purdue really struggles. If he's got to really work just to even get a shot up or just even get the ball moving, like he wastes a lot of energy and effort, and then it's just usually like just not getting a good look. So yeah. But that was also, I think I keep having flashbacks to Auburn and Texas A&M, but that was also December, and it's March.
And Texas A&M was a tight game. Auburn was awful.
Yeah. That's what I was referring to is just we've seen it a few times where this team gets down, like they can snowball really fast.
Right.
So I'm hoping we don't see that because Purdue has a lap that they kind of did against McNeese. We're kind of late where it was like we were up big and then they kind of just fell asleep and let McNeese kind of get within striking distance, I guess.
Yeah, they got within 13 at one point.
Yeah, but if Purdue does that, it's over. It's gonna be they'll get blown out of the gym. But I just saw a tweet. It was because obviously this game is played in Lucas Oil. They're hoping to have 35,000 people there.
I so wish it was in Gamebridge. I think it's dumb, especially when you look at the other regions. Everybody else is playing in the basketball arena, and this one's
last year
in a
Detroit we played
stadium.
Little Caesars. Yeah, last year
Which
Detroit
was
played Little
perfect.
Caesars.
It was
It was
a
awesome.
perfect environment.
Awesome environment.
And I get the IHSA state finals is going on this weekend, but this was scheduled years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's got a lot to do with Indy having the Final Four next year. And of course, money. You can get more people in it, but it's just not I'm fine with stadiums hosting Final Four and national titles, but I don't like the regionals being there. And you guys remember when that was a thing for a little bit? Like in 2009, we played in Phoenix against UConn. 2010, we played in Houston against Duke. Like they tried to make it a thing, and then they got away from it pretty quickly because nobody can shoot in these damn stadiums with these awful shooting backgrounds and elevated floors, and it's terrible for the fans to watch a game on. You're still pretty much paying $300 to look up at the big screen. But I digress. But I guess the last thing I want to say about it being in Lucas Oil, if Purdue's journey does end Friday or Sunday, hopefully they can look around and be like, this is where we want our journey then next year.
Yep.
Same
100%.
building.
Yep.
I think there's going to be that parallel come soon. Steve, I actually agree with your point here and struggling getting behind and not getting stops. The thing about what Sampson's offense, though, is it's dominantly ISO. So if they're not going to hit shots and we can actually get the ball and start moving the ball in transition, we definitely have a shot. Defensively, they're the best team in the nation defensively.
Yeah. But that's why they couldn't pull away against Gonzaga. They get up 14, missed a couple shots. Gonzaga kept chipping away and had a shot at the end.
The one thing of the common opponents that Purdue and Houston played this year is Alabama and Auburn. Yeah. It was reversed. They smoked Auburn and lost to Bama, and we beat Bama and got smoked by Auburn. Yeah. If an opponent scores 70 points on them in regards to like Gonzaga, it's usually a close game. If they can't have because if they don't have an opponent less than 70 points, those games usually are very close and nail biters in games that they've won and also lost. So I think go ahead.
Unfortunately, they feel comfortable in close games. Because I know they've won 7 games by 30 points or more, 6 or 7, but a lot of the other ones are close, and they more times than not have pulled it out because they're experienced veteran guys. Because they're a mix of a lot of their same team plus 3, 4, 5 guys they got from the portal.
Didn't Cryer play in Baylor?
Yep.
On the national title team?
Purdue's tried to kick the tires on him a lot.
They recruited him pretty hard out of high school.
Yeah.
He was because it was the Carson. Because I know he visited when Carson was here. Because that was kind of the connection of being Texas kids.
Yep.
I don't think Carson was ever the best host.
Probably not. Probably not.
But I think the key actually is going to be, can you stop the isolation in regards to their
Yep.
guards and
Mhm.
and in their wing players? If you can start taking the ball down, because even I think playing a half court offense is going to be very hard against them, and their size, their physicality, they're men amongst boys pretty much out there.
Yeah.
But if we can get out and run and transition, this might be a completely different game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Nemhart he had some passes in that game on Saturday.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, Braden's a lot better than you. So
Yeah, no, I agree. He was frustrating to watch at times the other night.
But offensively, I even when Sampson was at IU, I don't think they ran any sets. He literally just runs predominantly like YMCA isolation.
That team was high as a kite half the time on the court too. That never helped. Very talented, but don't think some of those boys went to class very often. If somebody helped me, I've been thinking about this for a week, and it's dumb. Who was I'm going to be politically nice here. Who was the overweight guy on their team?
I was like, who was the huge guy?
I believe?
Man.
Like the power forward they had?
He was a big boy.
He was massive.
I could look it up, I guess, but I'm trying to
I was just thinking when you said that, I was like, man, who was that massive guy? Because it was like he was so hyped up. It was like being this awesome player, and he like was not very good, and then was a felon.
Because they had Eric Gordon, DJ White, Jamarcus Ellis, Stimler. Forget his first name.
Stimler.
He always
was that?
high.
The 2007, 2008?
Was it
Yeah.
Ratliff?
Yeah.
No.
No, well, that's a name for the past. Mr. Basketball transferred to Xavier. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue because I called him by a very mean name. But it's on the tip of my tongue.
DeAndre Thomas.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
I think
he was 6'8", 295.
That was him.
It had been him.
Yeah. That wasn't the game I was coming up with. Yep, that was him though.
Brett
Rattle off a few of those
Finklemeyer,
guys. Oh man.
Jordan Crawford,
Oh yeah.
Marcus Ellis, AJ Ratliff, Lance Stemler, Eric Gordon, Brandon McGee, sorry, Mike White, Eli Holman, Adam Allfield, Kyle Tabor. Remember that guy?
Oh my gosh, he had a good game against us that year. I think he came in at like 8 points.
Yeah.
I remember Jamarcus Ellis was the number 1 JUCO player ahead of Nemanja Chalison. Nemanja was number 2.
Armand
JUCO
Bassett.
player.
Yep.
Oh, Billy Goat Bassett. Yeah. Then he went to UAB and had them in the tourney, I believe. UAB or Ohio? I think it was UAB. No, it was Ohio. Robert Baden was UAB before that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff.
Wow.
Good times.
Most importantly, Dan Dockage on the assistant coach.
Steve said Eli Holman was the one who was literally pimping on campus. Yes.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, right when he said his name, I'm like, I couldn't have told you his pimp, but I remember he was. Yeah, he was into drugs. Put it that way.
And it was one of Crean's teams who had the guy who ran over a teammate, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of Kareem's early teams from taking this over. Yes.
Oh yeah. Who was the dude just on one of Woody's teams that was going 106?
Oh, that was Xavier.
Dude from Xavier Johnson.
Xavier.
Yeah.
Because then they had that kid who's a transfer 2 years ago, supposed to be a really good shooter and didn't really pan out. He was in the car with him. I think he tried to get him in the driver's seat, or no, he was in the car with him. I think Xavier tried to get like one of the walk-ons to take the fall for him.
Of course,
wasn't suspended a game.
Yep. Whereas Gordon Watt has a DUI at Purdue, and Matt kicked him off the team.
Yep.
And Terrence Crump had that incident and was out for the year.
Out of the year for a whole year.
And Mason was suspended.
Mason was suspended. Yep.
Ryan Klein was suspended.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Let's get back to basketball and not life choices.
Yeah, went down another rabbit hole. It's full.
Yeah, we
rabbit
do.
hole.
My blind ranking is basketball
Well,
related. If you want me to get into
Let's
that,
pay
or
some
if you
bills
wanna-
before. So
Yes.
the Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by Mad Mushroom, serving Boilermakers since 1993. Mad Mushroom is located in the heart of West Lafayette and is well known of the home of the original cheese stick. But whenever the Boiler Breakdown likes to visit and sit down and have an ice cold beer and try out their latest pizza of the month, this month being the jalapeno popper, a house blend jalapeno cream, cheese sauce, bacon, mozzarella, and cheese, and finished with a ranch drizzle. Excuse me. Next time you're in town and stop until the Boiler Breakdown sent you and get a $5 off any order over $20. Any Boiler Breakdown listener can also use the coupon code BREAK5 to claim their discount online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head.
Yes, and before we do the blind rankings, let's go through and predict some of these games.
Yes, we should.
Starting with Thursday night, 7:09 tip, number 6 seed BYU against number 2 seed Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, give me Bama. BYU's looked impressive. I know they were kind of a sneaky pick to get this far. Obviously, they got the coach's an NBA guy, and they've got a lot of talent. Good win over Wisconsin in the round of 32. But yeah, give me Alabama. I assume Grant Nelson probably is a little more healthy this game, but just a lot of firepower on Alabama.
I'm taking BYU because I have it in my bracket.
Okay.
Going to Elite Eight. The one I really messed up on my bracket, I had Marquette in Elite Eight. That's my worst pick so far, but my Final Four is intact, and I have to give my wife a shout out. She told me to, and I told her I would. She's got 15 of the 16 Sweet 16 right. Kansas was the only one she had wrong.
That's
and
crazy.
she's winning both bracket competitions she's in. Now
she had Arkansas. Oh no, that was one she missed. Sorry. Okay.
She had BYU. She has Purdue in the Final Four, so that's what's helping her right now. So a lot of the hints are coming up this weekend. I've tried to warn her. I'm like, if Purdue goes out, your bracket's gonna be hurting a little bit.
That's I'm pretty sure I have Tennessee in every Final Four in every one of my brackets. So the team has famously never made it.
I do as well. So number 4 seed Maryland, one of the other 4 Big Ten teams to make it. Very lucky to make it, but hey, they made it against 1 seeded.
Shout out to Ethan Morton, man. Played awesome defense.
Yep.
Just
can't do anything else.
Yeah. Winner. Sorry about that.
I think Florida gets it done. I think they have their wake up call against
UConn. Yeah. Maryland, I mean, they've been really good. I think they pushed Florida for sure, but I think Florida's legit.
This is the most talented Florida team since the 07 national championship team for sure.
Yep.
I mean,
is it even really close? Have they even had a team even remotely close?
I thought 14 or 12 made the Sweet 16.
Did one of them lose to Wisconsin or something? Didn't one of them lose to somebody like by a buzzer beater?
And Chandler Parsons' senior year in 2011, they lost in Elite Eight to Butler.
What?
Okay.
So 12 was the last time they made the Sweet 16 that following year.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been over a decade since they've been relevant.
Yeah.
They were pretty bad for a while. So, Caleb Love gets one more crack at Duke as his 4-seeded Arizona Wildcats face Mason Gillis as 1-seeded Duke Blue Devils, who are a 9.5-point favorite.
Give me Duke. I hate that I'm actually like kind of pulling for Duke just because one, Mason, and then also I really enjoy watching Cooper Flag play. I like the way Duke
John
plays.
Shire's not hateable like Coach K was.
No.
At least yet.
And they play fun basketball. They got guys who can shoot. They've got obviously Cooper Flag is, should be number 1 overall pick. And again, obviously the Mason Gillis connection is probably the biggest reason. But
I think Duke wins by 20.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good.
They're best team I've seen since trying to remember the last true elite team.
I mean, UConn and Purdue last year.
Oh,
I mean, it was.
Well, I would say
UConn.
UConn for not the first go around.
Like they were true 4 seed that year. Yeah,
I'm trying to think like true elite teams, like that Kentucky team that had all those, but lost to Wisconsin. That
Baylor Gonzaga in 2022 or 2021.
Gonzaga was undefeated going in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say that was probably that Gonzaga team.
10th seed Arkansas, John Calipari getting to Sweet 16, beating his hated rival Patino, which I thought St. John's might flame out early because they can't shoot, and that's what happened. Against 3 seed Texas Tech, who's a 5.5 point favorite, and I know Lynch is big on this Texas Tech team.
Yep.
Yeah, give me Texas Tech. I have them winning it all in one of my brackets. So,
Wonder if Mahomes is going to be courtside.
Yeah, just because of that, I'm picking Arkansas. Just because he's
I know this is in San Francisco. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where the Warriors play. Oracle.
Yeah.
Chris Beard and 6-seeded Ole Miss against 2-seeded Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans, 3.5 point favorite.
Man, I want to pick Ole Miss, but this Michigan State team just finds a way, and it's really annoying.
Did Carr just learn how to actually shoot and play basketball?
I
Like all of a
texted,
sudden,
I texted in one of our group chats today. It was, I think, their first game or something. I was like, if Carr figures out like legitimate basketball skills,
My God.
like, besides just jumping, he would be elite.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's
he's
figured it out.
his rebounding and then just being able just to pogo stick back up for a dunk is unreal.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I hate it, but it's awesome.
I watched the Izzo's thing about strength by numbers that CBS was airing this past weekend before their game.
Why?
It was on. I'm not going to lie to you. It was just on.
You got a guy who watches the post game of the White Sox games. Do you think he's not?
He's wearing White Sox stuff right now. He's ready to be hurt come Thursday. They do have the best record in Chicago right now, though. So.
Yes, Chuck and Ozzy back. So give me Chris Beard and Ole Miss. I'm going with the upset here.
Lynch has been high on them since November. I got the text to prove it. So I'll take Michigan State, and I'm going to throw up doing so.
I hope I'm right on that one.
Webby, did you pick the game already?
I said Michigan State.
Okay. Michigan State.
And then 3-seed Kentucky, 2-seed Tennessee. Tennessee's a 4.5 point favorite. And Tennessee has easily become my least favorite team outside the Big Ten.
Yeah, Kentucky's beat Tennessee twice this year already. Hard to beat a team 3 times. I know. Talking with I unfortunately know way too many Tennessee fans due to my work, but they did not want to play. They did not want to play Kentucky. They wanted Illinois badly.
No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tennessee pulls it off. From a Purdue standpoint, I'd rather play Kentucky if Purdue would win, but I think also Kentucky fans would be more likely to cheer for Purdue in that game than Tennessee fans would.
Yeah, probably. Even though if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'd rather see Purdue than Houston.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You agree with Tennessee, Lynch?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Michigan and Auburn. Auburn's an 8.5 point favorite. I think Auburn rolls.
I think Auburn rolls. Yeah.
I don't know. Just because how Michigan plays.
Donaldson's been playing well for Michigan. Donaldson's been playing well.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the most physical games I've seen in a long time. Texas A&M and Michigan that second half.
Buzz's teams are always physical.
Yeah.
But May's team to respond like a punch in the mouth. I mean, give me Auburn though.
Yeah, Michigan State Elite 8 would be electric, but it'd be awful to watch.
Oh, it would.
As a Big Ten fan. It's interesting. I'm looking at the lines. Okay. Florida 6.5 point favorite. I was going to say Houston 7.5 point favorite of Purdue has dropped. I thought that was the closest of the 1 seed matchups, but it's Maryland and Florida are the closest. So, and Houston and Purdue, I want our usual score prediction, player of the game, and spicy bold prediction.
Looks like I'm going first.
Yep.
You said the line moved 8.5, right? From 7.5 earlier.
No, moved down from 8.5 to 7.5.
Okay, so I thought you said 8.5 earlier. So it's moved. It's still at 7.5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was 8.5 yesterday when I checked. Now it's 7.5. So.
Okay. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be one way or another. I think if Purdue's going to cover, they're going to win. It just matter of fact. If we're going to cover, we're going to win. And I'm going out on a limb here.
Oh,
Purdue
man.
78, Houston 71.
Wow.
I might have to take a lap around my neighborhood.
I told a coworker because he texted me on Mondays, he's ready to beat Houston. I was like, if Purdue beats Houston, I am sprinting downtown to celebrate. I live about 25 minutes from my car from downtown Indianapolis. I am dead sprinting downtown.
The reason
Please go viral on our socials if you
Yeah.
do that. So.
Yes. Turn that camera on and do it. The reason I'm saying Braden has not played well.
Yeah, for him.
And the lack of them offensively, like we've gotten beat by sets. We haven't got beat by straight players this year. Because when Marcus Sears went off, we're in that game.
Yeah.
And I understand they're better defensively than Bama, and it was at Mackey. Yeah. The supporting cast playing what they are and falling into this role, I think, is the biggest thing. As long as TKR don't get in foul trouble, I think this has a shot. And if we get above 70, they're winning. So I'm going to say TKR is going to be player of the game with a double-double. And I think the Spicy Bowl prediction is us winning, going to Elite Eight.
That's spicy and bold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, what am I going to do? Get to this point and not pick Purdue? I mean, come on, what are we doing? See, I'm picking Purdue. I'm just happy the guys to this point. I mean, I'll be, if Purdue gets down 20, I'll be pissed off on Friday night, but proud of this team for, having the February that they did and fighting back to not get beat last two games. Sorry, dog just ran here. And then, but I think I'm going to do, it's tough. 75-73.
I'm gonna have to get a breathing machine.
And then player, I mean, I guess I'll go Braden just because,
It's going to be one of the two guys.
it's one of the two. It's one of the two. Less than 5 turnovers for Braden. Less than 4. 5's still too many. Spicy prediction. Heidi and Colvin combined for 20 points.
If they do that, I like Purdue's chances.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be the downer here. I'm gonna try to be realistic. Not that you guys aren't. I think you made a lot of good points.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I just really think Purdue's got to play their absolute best, and
I do too.
Houston's got to be off a little bit, which can happen. I'm going Houston 82, Purdue 73. I think Purdue scored a decent amount. I think it's close, and Houston pulls away. Last like 5 minutes. I'm going Fletcher Lawyer, player of the game, because you two went with Braden and TKR. I don't know how the hell he's gonna get open, but he's gonna make it. He's gonna make his shots when he does somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my spicy bowl prediction, if Purdue wins on Friday, we're going back to the Final Four.
Down here.
Yeah.
That's my
and
spicy
a quote unquote.
If we win Friday, we can beat Kentucky or Tennessee.
Yeah. Just the thought of like having to go against Tennessee again, like I think all the pressure would even be on them still. It's because it's just like,
but sign me up right now.
Yeah.
Whether go against them or get knocked out Friday night, sign me up for one more crack at it. So
yeah.
But Webby, you got the blind ranking segment.
I do.
I'm very intrigued of what this is going to be tonight.
So I actually had it all typed out, and then I changed it. It's very similar to what I had, but then I was like, I was typing. I was like, man, I don't know. So on theme, the blind rankings. We're gonna be blind ranking Purdue round of 32 wins to advance to the Sweet 16.
I like it.
We've had now I will say this is in the Matt Painter era, so we've had only 8 to choose from. So right, 8 to choose from.
Yeah.
And this is like, because originally I was going to do like performances, or like I was in my head, I was thinking like performances / like key moments, but then as I was going, like what I had in my head for like a defining moment, the player maybe didn't have like the most points or whatever. So like, screw it, I'll just do the wins, and you can kind of have your own criteria of like, in terms of like the best win, or was it just like it just felt more monumental at the time than the other ones? You guys can I'd like you to explain your reasoning first. So we will start off. I don't know if I'll start with this one. Screw it. Why not? 2019 versus Villanova. Carson Edwards goes up for 42 points on 9 of 16 from deep as Boilers crushed the defending national champs 87-61 out east.
This is number 5 for me.
Okay.
I mean, at the time, it was a big win. Villanova was still an elite program at the time with Jay Wright. They had a couple of national titles. But I think Carson being a walking flamethrower with 42 points, and Purdue just jumped on him so early.
Yeah.
There's some others on here that were closer wins that were more like exhilarating afterwards. Like, it was so weird to know right after 5 minutes to the second half, the game was over and you could just relax the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Great feeling, but it was just
a
so
late
weird,
game too, wasn't it? Wasn't it a late game?
It was late.
Yes.
It was.
It was just
late.
like we just kind of. I remember watching my partners like kind of kick back, relax. I was like, "This is
we were just
unreal."
So much the better team that night. It was on another level. So that's why I put at 5. I mean, great win, fun to watch the highlights, look back on Carson just being like I said, a walking flamethrower that whole run. But
so is your criteria like exhilarating win? Is that how you're gonna?
I think that's where I'm going, or most meaningful to me. Exhilarating, most meaningful to me.
That's fair. Lynch,
I'm debating between 2 and 3, and the reason I'm saying I'm going to go because at that moment when I look back at when I was watching that performance, I said, "This is like Steph Curry, Shabazz Napier, like Kemba Walker. Like, holy crap, we might have a shot, to go far." And we did, unfortunately. Like,
we don't need to rehash that.
Yeah, we don't need to rehash that.
We've been down that a lot of times.
Yeah. When you're sitting there living in the moment and you're just seeing Jay Wright, Carson just bending off these screens. He had nothing. I actually watched the highlights of that just a couple of days ago.
I did too when they posted the Carson.
I meant to watch these before after I made the list. I meant to do it and I just didn't. I meant to.
Somebody's do it afterwards tonight now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself in a situation where time was. That has to be 2 because that was just like we have a Steph Curry, Shabazz Napier, Kemba Walker guard that can take us.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, 2010 versus Texas A&M. This was a 4-5 matchup. Purdue was a 5 seed, weren't they? 5 seed minus Robbie Hummel. Got the best player out. I guess bumped down in seeding. But Purdue beat A&M. It was an overtime win, right? Wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the backs of Chris Kramer going off for 17 points, which 13 of them came in the second half, including the go-ahead layup with 4 seconds left. And they still got a good shot off at the end, though.
Oh, they did. They hit the front of the rim. This is my number 1.
Okay.
That Purdue team meant a lot to me. I think meant a lot to all of us. Was on, I was already committed or going into Purdue for my freshman year. Thought that was the year Purdue was going to do something. Of course, Robbie Hummel. So to make the Sweet 16 with all that adversity was great. Beat a physical A&M team, a game that Purdue would normally lose. During the Purdue teams I watched growing up, Kramer was my all-time favorite Boilermaker. So seeing him have 17 and that left-handed layup, right-handed layup on the left side, left side. Wearing the shooting sleeve and everything different. It was just, I think about that game a lot and what could have been with that team. So that's number 1 for me.
Baggy shorts too.
Baggy shorts.
What did Keaton Grant have that game? Evan, do you have the stats in front of you?
I did. I can look it up real quick. I was looking at the box scores last night. Let's see, Purdue versus.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he had a couple of huge shots in that second half.
Probably did. He was a pretty clutch player.
Let's see here.
Was DeAndre Jordan on that Texas A&M team?
Yes.
No.
AC Law was.
AC.
Nope.
Yes.
AC Law was?
Yes. I'm looking at the roster right now. There was Brian Davis, Chris Middleton.
Oh, Middleton.
David LeBeau.
Man.
Dash Harris. Donald Sloan was the starting lineup. And then their bench was Turner, Walkup, Hibbert, BJ Holmes.
Never mind.
DeAndre Jordan was before, correct?
Sure. Sounds right.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. But
Keep
Kramer
going,
led the
Keaton Grant.
Keaton Grant only had 5 points, 1 of 4 from deep, 2 of 7 from the field, 6 rebounds though. Each one had 15. JJ had 11. DJ Bird had 10 off the bench. Ryan Smith had a 3, and that was it. Hart, Barlow, and Beatty all played but did not score.
Okay. We need to get Coverage in as a sponsor because I'm blending stuff.
No, just 15
My
years
head.
ago, man. Just 15 years ago. It's hard to remember.
I thought that was a great game. Like Keaton was like huge in the second half.
You might have been thinking Washington
The game before.
the year before,
First-
maybe.
Year before. Yeah, year before.
year
sorry.
before.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I'm gonna go-
I don't know.
I'm gonna go 3 on this. I won't.
3. So Tanner just got his bookends 1 and 5, and Lynch just got 2 and 3. All right, number 3, 2024, last year versus Utah State. Pick says the trendy upset pick in the second round for some godforsaken reason. Oilers dominate, and I repeat, dominate 106-67. Zach Edey with 23 points and only 27 minutes of action.
I'm putting this at number 4 out of all the games during the run last year. This is the one I remember the least about. For some reason, I remember more of the Grambling game. For some reason,
That would
I don't know
definitely
why.
more anxiety because that was, again, it was like, God, like we
We were up
it
only
was-
like 10 and a half.
yeah,
Which
which was similar to kind of what we were with FDU. I'm pretty sure we were
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 at FDU, and yeah.
But I feel like I put the Carson Villanova game in 2019 at 5 for being a blowout and didn't really have the the nervous feeling going for a while. So I got to put this at 4 then, kind of same category.
I'll put it. Seeing where I was, like going back to like the Carson game, this has to be number 1 because this was,
Wow.
you knew we're on a mission. After FDU, this team was out, just flat out going to just take names. I'm not going to curse.
Yeah.
Okay, if you
but
want, doesn't matter.
this team was definitely on a mission. Zach was definitely pretty much on the best player on the court. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
So definitely number 1.
I would have this one. Is it number 1?
Yep.
Yeah, he said number 1. That's why I was like, wow.
I didn't hear that part. Must cut out. I definitely have this one higher. I think I haven't even actually made my numbers yet. Just because, again, kind of the same thing. Lynch was just what they had gone through the year prior and like what this team needed to do just to kind of get some monkeys off their back. I felt like if they got through the first weekend, 1 year in Indy, which was always nice, obviously, but if you can get to that first weekend,
Mm-hmm.
like you could take a step back and really take okay, we got to the first weekend, take a deep breath, like now it's on, sort of thing. And obviously we saw that against Gonzaga because they just absolutely put a hurt on Gonzaga.
This was make a statement to get to the national title game.
And just the fact that, again, like Utah State. So Utah State, who did they play in the first round?
TCU.
TCU.
Yep.
Because it was the whole thought of like who we want to play, and it was like, we should want to play Utah State because they're smaller, but it was actually like Utah State actually presented a lot more matchup problems compared to TCU. And they were, I think, they were quite a trendy upset pick. As
Kind of
well.
like the Clemson McNeese argument.
Yep.
This year.
Yep.
DeAndre
All
Jordan left Texas A&M in 2008.
Oh,
We weren't that far off.
We're not that far off.
Yeah. All right. So Tanner needs 2, 3, 4. No. Yeah.
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah. Or I called you Josh. I am so
3
sorry.
and 5.
Andrew needs. Yeah. All right. 2022 versus 6 seed Texas. 3 seed Boilers faced off their arch nemesis, Chris Beard. And the Texas Longhorns, Jaden Ivey goes for 18 points, 2 of 4 from deep. I believe he had a clutch 3 late.
Very clutch 3.
I meant to go watch this to make sure
Very
what I had right.
Put us up
Travion-
6, I believe.
Yeah. Actually, Purdue was led by Travion Williams off the bench with 22 points, and some rising sophomore named Zach Edey added 11 points and 10 boards, and Purdue wins 81-71.
I was up in Milwaukee. My parents were at that game. Another guy who had a huge 3 down stretch with Ethan Morton.
Yep.
I'm going 3 with this one. But Jaden's 3 was one of the more clutch shots I've seen in Purdue history, I'm going to say. I feel like one that gets overlooked.
Yep.
I feel like he gets overlooked. It's not fair. So
It's not fair, but this is where it's going to number 5 on me.
Oh my God.
That team has nothing to show for it. It doesn't. And it's so
But
frustrating.
This
You
might
can make the argument for that. If this team goes out Friday night, same thing. This team
was growing. Like that team we had a top 5 NBA talent on that team.
But also we sucked at defense.
We
and
did.
We turned the ball over like it was our job.
This one,
if this one's not number 1 for me, this one's probably number 2 for me. 1, Jaden's my boy. So him hitting that 3 was awesome. But I think it was just the fact that, again, the year before you lose, to North Texas in the first round in that Mickey Mouse tournament.
Dumbest thing.
Jaden's gone after this year. This is the year that we're gonna have, for the first time, Purdue has a freak athlete to take us. And it was like if Purdue doesn't get there, and the fact that it was against Chris Beard, who a few years prior, I guess 6 years prior, knocked us out, and we hadn't beat him yet because we also lost to him at Texas Tech too. So it was like, this is the one coach, this is the one coach that can beat Purdue.
Yeah.
So for you to get that win was huge.
I will say, and I know we talked about this last week, after that following game against St. Peter's, I remember having the feeling like, I don't know if Purdue's ever going to do it.
Yeah.
Like after that game. I had that feeling more so than I did after the FDU game.
Yeah, because it was like we always talked about, like, because again, getting to Sweet 16 and we're playing Kansas, we're playing Duke, we're playing UConn. It's like, okay, Purdue finally avoids the 4-5 line. They're on the 3 line, so you get the number 2 got knocked out in the first game with Kentucky. It's like we're playing a 15 seed to go to the Elite 8, playing your second Elite 8 in 3 years. Like, and one of those years didn't even happen because of COVID. So it's like you get there and it's like you're in kind of like elite company type of thing. And then again, if you win, you're more likely getting a North Carolina team that you already beat, and that's an 8 seed. And so just the fact that they blew that, it was like, man, it was like if they can't do it now, I'm not sure if they're going to do it.
Yep. Thank God we were wrong.
Yeah.
I just wish that team had something to show for it.
Oh, I did too. I did too.
There's a comparing this team to that team is, I don't think, fair.
That team also had bad luck. They had 3 buzzer beaters on them, and 2 of them, one of them banked in. One was half court.
I'll say that team broke the glass ceiling in getting the number 1 ranking. So, like, if that's the only thing they can hang their hat on, fine.
And they won the Cheez-It trophy. That was cool.
In Brooklyn, sure.
And the last one, probably guessed it, 2017 versus Iowa State. Yet another 4-5 matchup for Purdue. This time, another one in Milwaukee. Purdue lets a large lead slip away, but pulls it out in the end, 80-76. Caleb Biggie Swanigan had 20 points and 12 boards, including 3 of 6 from deep. And what my play of the game was a game-sealing rebound on a Dakota Mathias missed free throw. He kicked it out to PJ, who got fouled and made some clutch free throws at the end.
I'm not mad about this going in my 2 slot, but this isn't the one I thought it was going to be Washington 09. For sure, that's one I was saving for my 2 spot. Just the fact that was Paint's first Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And beat Washington team at John Brockman, not Nate Robinson, Quincy Pondexter. I think one other guy I'm forgetting. Oh, Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
But JJ had those big blocks. Aaron and I watched and you too, Webby. I think you're with us that day after our high school won semi-state. We watched the first half at Buffalo Wild Wings and listened to the second half on the radio on the way home.
Gonna be honest, I don't remember that game a whole lot, which is why I didn't put it on here. So you're at the mercy of my stupid brain.
I just remember after the game, like the guys jumping around because it was such a big deal. Purdue going first Sweet 16 and at that point 9 years, and Painter's first one, and it felt like I remember Andy Katz or Billups or somebody saying like this is Purdue's stepping stone to becoming because maybe when they're sophomores, it's like okay, the program's really going to take off. But with all that said, Iowa State was a very fun victory, but it was also scary. We let a big lead slip. And Iowa State, you were at that game, and Iowa State was coming like crazy. But Biggie's heroics at the end, like I said, PJ's big free throw. So I'm okay with that being number 2.
Well, it's slotting in my number 3 is Was Hal Burton on that team? I think he was the year
No,
after.
he was gone. He was gone. I think he was gone the year before.
No, I think Hal Burton was the year after. I thought he left in 2020. I think Hal Burton was after this.
I thought you already used your 3 earlier.
No, it was 3 and 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I had 3 and 5. So this goes in my 3 slot, and I'm okay with it. Maybe if I hindsight, I would probably put.
He got there the year after. He got drafted in 2020. Yep.
Okay. I was making sure I remembered my NBA fantasy basketball team right.
I'm good with my list. I'm pretty happy with my list.
I'd probably switch 3 and 5 around, but maybe that's for another
This one
day.
was big for me. One, I was there, so it was really cool. And it felt like with Biggie, we had a legit like superstar. Obviously, their baby boys were awesome, but they never got the pub like National Player of the Year type stuff where Biggie was like he had a legitimate case to be National Player of the Year, and so it's like, man, we got to make a run with it. Like we got this dude, like we'll beat anybody. And obviously, you had PJ, Dakota, Vince, shooting lights out from deep. Carson, freshman year Carson, and like I remember like. It was that rebound because I was like where I was like I was the front row in the tops, one of the top sections, but there was the guardrail in front of me. And I remember Biggie got the rebound and I just smacked that thing and just screamed so loud. I was so pumped because I had a bunch of Iowa State fans next to me. And screw the Butler fans who were next to me on the other side because Butler played before us and they didn't stay around to cheer for Purdue, so screw them.
Go back to the Rising.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a big one. For me,
it was Monte Morris was the guard from Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't Halliburton, it was Monte Morris. But their electric guard. That's who it was.
Good list, though. I like that. Good stuff.
Very good list.
Honorable mentions: 2009 versus Washington. Obviously, that was Purdue's first one under Painter. 2018 versus Butler, game after Isaac Haas goes out. Dakota Mathias, it's a big 3 late.
So lucky to
beat Butler. And then obviously 2025 versus McNeese.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, lastly, we got one more bill to pay before we sign off. And that is from the shop. And Evan will tell you more about their great company.
Yeah, so the shop, again, serving hometown fans, hometown apparel since 2011, now with 3 retail locations in the Indianapolis area. So if you're coming for Friday, they got one in downtown, they got one in Carmel, they got one in Broad Ripple. Stop in. I know they've been doing website sales for Purdue since they're still dancing. If you're watching now, Tanner's got the Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Wren shirts for being first team All Big Ten. Go get them. I'm waiting on my 2 new shirts to show up at my doorstep any day now. But great company. They're also gearing up for Indy 500, which is their biggest event that they make apparel for. They do stuff with the Indianapolis Indians as well. They're doing some pretty awesome stuff. So go check them out. But if you go to shopindy.com, you can use promo code Breakdown, you get free shipping.
Take advantage of that. We all like free stuff and we like free shipping.
Absolutely. On top of it, you get on top of the sale, because that's what I did during the Big Ten tournament. They had a sale, 30% off sale for the Indiana teams for IU and Purdue. And I tried the code. I was like, I'm not sure it was going to work because I obviously have a huge discount and it still worked. So look at that.
Perfect.
Save $5 on top of what else other stuff I saved. So.
Well, boys, I hope we're sitting here talking next week not only about Purdue advancing to the Elite Eight, but going to back-to-back appearance in the Final Four.
Yep.
So with that said, let's boiler up, hammer down, beat the Cougars, then either the Volunteers or the Wildcats.
Boiler up.
Boiler up.